Greetings, triumphant and voracious YouTuber. Welcome back to my channel. Something a little bit different this week, something for the guitarists out there. We're going to have a little chat about my Ampless pedalboard journey. So around this time last year, I was asked to join the mighty Midnight Odyssey on a little tour, and the other guitarist in the band, Clint, shout out Clint, was already using an Ampless pedalboard setup. So it was on me to go out and sort myself out for something similar. I took myself to Pedal Empire in Brisbane, shout out Pedal Empire, and tried a whole bunch of stuff. I tried the Boss something. I tried the Walrus ACS1. I tried a handful of others that I'm blanking on right now, and ended up settling upon the DSM Humboldt Simplifier Deluxe. I'll give my final thoughts on this little box at the end of this video, but for now, let's just check out the features. Essentially what's going on is two independent channels. Both channels have three different amps. We've got a Vox, a Fender, and a Marshall. We've got three channels on each amp: clean, crunch, and lead. Got a 3-band EQ on each. They then lead into a cab sim where we can swap between a 1x12, 2x12, or a 4x12. We can also move the mic position essentially around. We've then got a power amp section where we can dial up the power amp saturation. We can swap between KT88, 6L6, and EL34 tubes. We've got a presence control, sounds like a presence control. And lastly, we've got digital reverb, 3 modes: room, sounds like a room; plate, sounds like a plate; and ether, kind of sounds like nothing you've ever heard before. It's enormous. We've got lots and lots of ins and outs going on in this thing. We've got XLR outputs with the ground lift. We've got 1/4-inch outputs. We've got a stereo input. You can also use mono. We've got a stereo effects loop. It comes with all the cables to make that sort of stuff happen. We've also got a stereo spread button, which goes from stereo to spread. And I can't work the spread out. It doesn't sound particularly good to my ear, but it's there. Maybe it works for you. We've also got a headphone output, nice and handy. And one really cool feature is the 1/4-inch jacks. You can actually switch off, or you can bypass the cab sim and the power amp section of this. So you can just run either straight into the front or into the effects loop return of an amp. So say you're playing in a band where the other guitarist has an amp, you can still use this box as your front end to get your tones, to sort out your EQ, and to do channel switching, and just run straight into the power amp section of a head, which is really handy. So that's that box. One of the things I really wanted to take advantage of with this Ampless pedalboard situation was the stereo effects loop of the Humboldt. We're really spoiled these days. There's lots and lots of stereo delay pedals out there. When I was at the pedal shop, I tried a whole bunch of stuff, and I kept seeing this one in the cabinet that I tried to ignore it because I could see the price. And I was like, well, if I play that and I like it, we're going to have an issue. I played it and I liked it, and I brought it home. The Walrus Meraki. Adjectives: lush, organic, blah, blah, blah. It sounds really good. It's just a really, really great sounding pedal. A few years ago, a friend of mine, Jake, shout out Jake, had a Diamond Memory Lane. Very beautiful sounding pedal. This is sounds like a stereo version of that. It's just a really, really pretty analog, organic, adjectives. I don't know. It sounds good. Also, it's black and gold, and you can see a theme emerging here where my pedalboard, it was quite important to me for whatever reason that everything was black and gold. So I had to get that. One thing I should mention is I was intentionally short on real estate for this board. I didn't want to go completely overboard. I wanted to keep things relatively in check, which is why I picked up the Pedaltrain Nano Plus. It's just a little baby, but I knew that this would fit in my luggage. I knew I wouldn't get too carried away if I gave myself this limitation to start with. So with that in mind, the only real piece I was missing was some kind of boost, because we were playing a sort of medley situation, and I wanted to be able to give my guitar a bit of a kick in the shin every now and again. I wanted a boost. I wanted something to add a bit more meat to the tone. I previously been using the Walrus 385 Mark I, which I really loved, and I saw in the cabinet while I was at the pedal shop that there was a Mark II. So I grabbed that. Essentially, it's a 2-channel version of the 385. I think both channels are the same. You can just sort of dial them in a bit differently. Obviously, I have channel 1 a little bit less aggressive than channel 2, so I've got sort of varying levels of boost up my sleeve. I'm a big fan of the sound of this pedal. If you're not familiar with it, from what I understand, it is a preamp from an old cinema projector. So it has this very unique sound. It's not like a tube screamer. It's not like your typical overdrive or a boost pedal. It kind of has this sort of rattly, mid-rangey kind of sounds a bit broken, I guess, just a bit like yeah, a bit odd, a bit different, but I really like it. I'm a big fan of the sound. The Mark II also has the 385 Plus switch, where you can go from having too much gain to having way too much gain. Again, I haven't really worked out the point of that. It's a lot. It's too much, in my humble opinion. I haven't found a use for it, but there it is. And that was my pedal board, pretty much full. The only thing I was missing was a tuner, and then I found this little cutie, which is also black and gold, the Polytune 3 TC Electronic. So everything was color coordinated, everything fit. Very, very happy. That was my entire board. Let's rig it up, put it together. Let's have a listen to a few of the sounds that this thing has on board, and I'll come back after with my thoughts on going ampless. All right, we got the trusty Jazzmaster. We're on the neck pickup. Let's start with some clean tones. We're on the Vox amp on channel A. Everything's just set to 12 o'clock on the Humboldt. Let's add some reverb. This is the Room. Short decay. And over to the plate. Bit more of a tail on this one. And now onto the ether. It's all tail on this one. And add some of this stereo delay. Worth the price of admission alone, just to have that stereo delay. Alright, let's dig into this a bit. Over to the bridge. Turn off these delays. Onto the Marshall channel, and channel B. Lean into this a bit more. Let's dial up the power amp saturation a bit. We're on the EL34s at the moment. We'll swap one channel to the 6L6. You can hear the stereo width for two different power tubes. Both onto the 6L6. Dial this gain up a bit. I love that even as you lean into the gain, the pick definition is still there. You can still hear all of the strings. And that's fully dialed. You still have that definition. All right. Let's try the 7th string with EMGs. Notoriously cold and unfeeling pickups. See if we can get this thing to sound warm at all. Back on the Vox. Stereo delay, just swimming in it. Do what you meant to do on this thing. On the Marshall. Still 12 o'clock. Not bad for just the amp gain. Move the mic position a bit closer, brighten it up a bit. Let's try some KT88s. Notice when it gets to the very top of the gain, this extra mid-range sort of brightness comes in. Alright, now we have ether and the delay going. And even with all that and the gain dialed, we still have peak definition. You can still hear everything. Alright, I've added the boost from the 385. And lastly, what you're hearing now is the sound of the amp dialed, so it's fully gained up with the boost on, and this is the line level noise that you get. We'll turn the boost off. That's just the sound of the amp alone on the high gain channel. That's the sound of the clean, so a very, very quiet pedal. Not bad. So, Ampless, pedalboard, sounds, thoughts, feelings, emotions, reflection. How do we feel? Well, I feel quite good. Having lived with it for a year, yeah, go Ampless. Do it. Absolutely do it. My experience going Ampless for live has saved my back, definitely. I don't enjoy lifting things before a gig. I really don't enjoy lifting things after a gig. Knowing that my sound fits in my suitcase is just a relief, not having to worry about that. For a lot of touring bands, you know, we're often dealing with compromise. We're dealing with backline that might not be the thing that we're used to. Our routing won't always work with whatever amp is going to be on the stage that night. But just knowing that no matter what, as long as there's two inputs on the sound desk, I can get my tones. That's a really, really big relief. So yeah, love it for that. Even in the studio as well. I've had this thing just sitting on my desk in the studio since I've had it, and having all those tones within arm's reach, not having to go and mic a cab or swap pedals around or reroute the whole studio to be able to record something. I can just flick a few switches and turn a few knobs, and I can usually get a sound that's workable, at least for the sake of production, you know, at least for the sake of doing a demo, at least for the sake of someone else is in the studio and I just need to get an idea down fast. It's there. It's easy. Obviously, if you're going to record the final guitar track, you put the effort in and you mic the amp and you let it warm up and do all that stuff. But up until then, you can seriously get by with so much that this box can do. So I really appreciate that. There's one experience that I still get a kick out of, which is when you turn up to a gig and the sound engineer comes up and says, "Love to meet you guys. What's the plan tonight? What amps are you using? How do you guys, you know, what's your sort of setup?" And we say, "Well, we don't need an amp. I just need two XLR cables and that's it." And you always get this confused look. They look at you with a bit of perplexity. They're sort of, okay. And they hand you the cables and they wander back to the desk. And as soon as you start playing, you can feel the relief just wash over them when they realize they just need to push the faders up. Then they can go and have a sandwich, have a beer, whatever, like their work is done. That's it. Not too much more involved than that. So that's great too. Just, not having to rely on anything, essentially. Just turning up and plugging it in. It's, game changer right there. One thing that I will say, as a bit of a final thought, is that I've really sung the praises of this thing, but as awesome as this is, and as helpful as it is, and as just small and manageable as it is not a tube amp. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do tube amp. It does emulations of tube amps. It does emulations of a whole bunch of tube amps, but it's not a tube amp. Tube amps smell a certain way. They sort of have a certain feel to them when they're in the room. They move the air in a very specific sort of way that people have been trying to emulate forever, and I have a feeling that we'll never get there. I don't feel like you can emulate that. This thing does its best, and it's very impressive what it can do, but it can't quite do that. It's emulating, it's aspiring to do that, but that's not what this thing does. But it gets pretty close, so good on it. And I'm very, very grateful. I'm a total convert. Go Ampless. Just do it. Save yourself a bunch of headache. When you hit the big time, take your amp onto it, take a couple amps onto it. But until then, grab something like this, save yourself some headache and some heartbreak and some backbreak, and enjoy it. Thanks for watching. I hope this is useful. I hope you found the sounds appealing somewhat. I hope you found the info somewhat appealing as well. I'll be back in the next video with something a bit back to regular mixing and mastering. Until then, peace out.